The summer sun was blazing over the city, but Ethan's world had just gone cold. He had returned home earlier than expected, eager to surprise his fiancée, Lisa, with tickets to an exclusive summer gala. The moment he opened the apartment door, time froze. There she was, Lisa, entangled with another man on the bed. The sight hit Ethan like a freight train. His heartbeat thundered painfully in his chest. Shock, anger, disbelief, he couldn't process the scene. Before he could speak, Lisa reached for a tray on the nightstand. A glass of his favorite smoothie, peanut butter, his ultimate weakness, shimmered with a suspicious gloss. Panic surged. His mind raced. They knew about his allergy. He lunged, knocking the glass away just in time. The liquid shattered across the floor. Heart racing, Ethan looked into their eyes and a chilling realization dawned. This was intentional. Betrayal wasn't enough. They wanted him gone. Yet standing there, blood still pounding, a new resolve ignited. Ethan had underestimated the man they were crossing. He wasn't just a victim of love and deceit. He was heir to a corporate empire built on cunning and strategy. And now, they had lit the fuse for a vengeance that would shake everything. The summer heat pressed against the apartment walls, but Ethan felt a cold clarity. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Ethan didn't confront Lisa or the man further. Words would be useless now. The betrayal had spoken louder than any argument ever could. Instead, he left the apartment, the summer heat wrapping around him like a heavy cloak. In the bustling city streets, life seemed oblivious to his personal catastrophe. Cars honked, pedestrians laughed, and the aroma of street food filled the air. Yet Ethan's mind was elsewhere, weaving a plan with surgical precision. They had underestimated him, and that was their first mistake. He returned to his family's corporate headquarters, the towering glass building reflecting the blazing sun. Inside, the familiar hum of business was oddly comforting. His assistant, Mia, noticed the tight line of his jaw and the fire in his eyes. "Mr. Carter, you look like someone just tried to kill you," she said cautiously. "They did, Mia," Ethan replied, his voice steady but deadly. "And they will regret it. Every move, every breath they take from now on will be calculated." Ethan spent the night reviewing company files, alliances, and resources. He mapped every connection Lisa and her accomplice could use, every weakness in their social and corporate armor. By dawn, a cold, ruthless clarity had taken root. This wasn't just revenge, it was strategy. And in strategy, Ethan had always been unmatched. Outside, the city woke to a hot summer day. Inside, a storm was quietly forming, and Ethan stood at its center, ready to unleash it. Ethan's first move was subtle. He couldn't afford to act recklessly, not yet. The empire he was destined to command required patience, observation, and precision. He summoned Mia to his office, closing the door behind her. "I need you to dig into everything about Lisa and her accomplice. Their assets, habits, networks, every detail matters." Mia's eyes widened, sensing the shift in Ethan. "You want revenge?" she asked cautiously. Ethan gave a faint, almost imperceptible smile. "Not revenge, justice. They tried to destroy me with a single act of deceit. Now I'm going to show them the consequences of underestimating me." Over the next few days, the city's summer energy contrasted sharply with the cold intensity in Ethan's office. Mia uncovered secrets Ethan hadn't expected: financial inconsistencies, hidden allies, even whispers of illegal dealings. Every piece was a puzzle, every revelation a tool. Meanwhile, Ethan began subtle surveillance. He watched Lisa's movements, studied her interactions with the man, and noticed cracks in their confident facade. They laughed in public, flaunted their victory, but Ethan saw through it. Confidence without caution was dangerous. One night, Ethan stood on the rooftop of the corporate tower, the city lights shimmering below. The summer breeze brushed against his face. He whispered to himself, a vow more chilling than any scream. "You wanted to break me. Now, you'll witness the empire I build from the ashes of your betrayal." The game had begun, and Ethan was always 3 steps ahead. Ethan waited for the perfect moment. Timing was everything. Too early, and suspicion would rise; too late, and the advantage would slip. It came during a summer gala, one of the city's most exclusive events. Lisa, radiant in a silk dress, moved through the crowd with her accomplice, laughing and flaunting their victory. They didn't know the predator was already among them. Ethan arrived quietly, unnoticed. His tailored suit fit like armor, his expression calm, yet his eyes burned with cold intensity. Every glance he cast surveyed the room, mapping allies, enemies, and witnesses. He began with whispers. Rumors of Lisa's secret dealings and shady contacts floated through the gala like a summer breeze. Guests exchanged glances, curiosity sparking like firecrackers. He didn't need to confront her. He was turning her own world into a trap. By the time Ethan approached the balcony, Lisa's laughter had faltered. She didn't see him, but she felt it, the invisible presence of someone powerful and unstoppable. Ethan raised a glass to the night sky, a single gesture that seemed casual to everyone but carried a hidden message. The storm has begun. That night Ethan left the gala as quietly as he arrived. Lisa and her accomplice would wake tomorrow to a world slightly less certain, slightly more dangerous. And Ethan, he was just getting started. The next morning, Lisa woke to a series of mysterious setbacks. Emails went missing, contracts disappeared, and allies she had relied on suddenly seemed distant or suspiciously loyal to someone else. Panic flickered across her face, but she didn't know who was behind it. Ethan, meanwhile, stayed in the shadows, orchestrating each move with precision. He didn't need to reveal himself, yet. He watched from afar as Lisa's confidence began to crack. But Ethan wasn't done testing boundaries. He needed to see how far she would go to protect herself, how dangerous she really was. That afternoon, he arranged for an unexpected meeting. A mutual business partner, someone Lisa trusted implicitly, received a mysterious message, a warning about her shady dealings. Lisa's world began unraveling piece by piece. She didn't understand why her empire of deceit was crumbling. Every attempt to regain control failed, each move manipulated by Ethan's unseen hand. Back in his penthouse, Ethan poured himself a glass of water and allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. His fiancée had tried to destroy him with poison, betrayal, and lies. Now, he was serving a dish of justice, cold and precise. Outside, summer pressed on. The sun was high. But shadows were lengthening, and Ethan's storm was only beginning to gather. Lisa's desperation grew. She began calling in favors, pulling strings, and attempting to rally support from anyone who might save her from the invisible force dismantling her life. But Ethan had anticipated every move. He decided it was time to test her limits. Using his network, he arranged a private encounter, one that would force Lisa to reveal her true nature. She entered the lavish boardroom expecting to confront an ally, but instead found herself face to face with a masked figure in the shadows. Her eyes narrowed. "Who are you?" she demanded, voice trembling with a mix of fear and indignation. The figure stepped forward, voice calm, chillingly precise. "You know me, Lisa. You just forgot who I am. And now you'll see what happens when betrayal meets power." Panic flared. The accomplice who had stood by her faltered, realizing the situation was far beyond their control. Lisa's carefully constructed world, built on lies and manipulation, was crumbling in front of her eyes. Ethan watched silently, letting them squirm, letting them feel the consequences of their choices. Each gasp, each faltering lie, each attempt to regain composure was a note in his symphony of vengeance. By the time the encounter ended, Lisa understood one thing. She had underestimated him. And underestimating Ethan Carter was the gravest mistake of her life. Ethan knew that to fully dismantle Lisa and her accomplice, He needed more than just patience and strategy. He needed allies, people who were loyal, skilled, and willing to act when the time was right. He reached out to old friends from his corporate empire, discreetly summoning them under the guise of urgent business meetings. Some were former rivals, some were childhood friends, but all were exceptional in their fields: finance, investigation, and security. Over late-night discussions in the penthouse, Ethan laid out the situation. "They tried to kill me. They tried to destroy everything I've built," he said, voice calm but unwavering. "Now it's time they learn exactly what it means to cross the wrong person." Mia, ever his trusted right hand, monitored Lisa's moves while the team coordinated from the shadows. Every contact Lisa had, every deal she attempted, was carefully observed and manipulated. Ethan's empire began tightening around them like an invisible noose. That night, as the city glittered below in the summer heat, Ethan stood on the balcony, reflecting. He wasn't just enacting revenge. He was rewriting the rules of engagement, and those who had underestimated him would soon pay. A storm was coming, and no one would escape its reach. Ethan decided it was time for a bold move, one that would humiliate Lisa and her accomplice in the public eye while maintaining his invisibility. He leaked a carefully crafted report to key media outlets, exposing the duo's secret financial manipulations and unethical dealings. The story spread like wildfire across the city, shaking investors, colleagues, and friends. Lisa's carefully cultivated image of power and control began to crack visibly. At a high-profile summer networking event, Lisa tried to salvage her reputation, laughing nervously, masking fear behind her practiced smile. But whispers followed her wherever she went, eyes flicking with suspicion and judgment. Her accomplice faltered beside her, realizing their empire was slipping through their fingers. Ethan watched from a distance, blending seamlessly with the crowd. He didn't need to confront them. His influence and foresight were already working, and the chaos he engineered was far more terrifying than any direct attack. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the city in golden summer light, Ethan's phone buzzed. Mia's text was simple. "They're cracking. You've got them exactly where you want them." A small, satisfied smile curved Ethan's lips. This was only the beginning. The empire they tried to poison was rising stronger than ever, and the final act of vengeance was yet to come. Lisa's paranoia had grown unbearable. Every message, every phone call, every shadow seemed like a threat. She and her accomplice started turning on each other, their trust shattered under the invisible pressure Ethan had applied. One evening, Ethan arranged a subtle encounter that would bring the fear even closer to home. A small, private dinner at a posh rooftop restaurant, Lisa's favorite haunt, was orchestrated to appear coincidental. She didn't know that Ethan's operative had already planted evidence of betrayal among the staff, ensuring that every moment of the night was monitored and manipulated. As Lisa and her accomplice laughed nervously, Ethan observed from a nearby table, blending into the crowd. He didn't need to confront them directly yet. The tension, the fear, and the feeling of being hunted were far more effective. A waiter accidentally dropped a tray near their table, spilling a drink onto Lisa's lap. She flinched, expecting another betrayal, while her accomplice's panic was visible. The subtle chaos was a reminder. Ethan was always closer than they thought. By the time they left, sweating and shaken, Ethan had already disappeared into the night. He wasn't just dismantling them. He was showing them that even the smallest misstep could have devastating consequences. The summer heat had softened, but the storm surrounding Lisa and her accomplice only intensified. Ethan knew that whispers, rumors, and minor humiliations weren't enough anymore. It was time for a decisive move, one that would strip Lisa and her accomplice of their last defenses. He orchestrated a corporate merger, leveraging his family's empire to take control of a key company that Lisa had secretly invested in. Overnight, Her finances were exposed, her secret dealings laid bare, and her closest allies began to abandon her, fearing fallout. Lisa confronted her accomplice in a panic. "We're losing everything. How did he?" Her voice cracked, anger and fear mingling in a dangerous cocktail. The accomplice, once confident, could only stammer, realizing that Ethan had anticipated every possible move. Every attempt at counterattack had been neutralized before it even began. Meanwhile, Ethan observed silently from a distance. He wasn't cruel, he was precise. This was more than revenge. It was a lesson in underestimating the wrong man. That night, standing on the penthouse balcony, Ethan allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. The summer city sparkled below him, serene and unsuspecting. But beneath that beauty, chaos had taken root, and the storm he had summoned was far from over. Ethan whispered to the night sky, a vow of finality in his tone. "You thought you could destroy me. Now you'll watch everything you've built crumble before your eyes." Ethan knew that whispers, rumors, and minor humiliations weren't enough anymore. It was time for a decisive move, one that would strip Lisa and her accomplice of their last defenses. He orchestrated a corporate merger, leveraging his family's empire to take control of a key company that Lisa had secretly invested in. Overnight, her finances were exposed, her secret dealings laid bare, and her closest allies began to abandon her, fearing fallout. Lisa confronted her accomplice in a panic. "We're losing everything. How did he?" Her voice cracked, anger and fear mingling in a dangerous cocktail. The accomplice, once confident, could only stammer, realizing that Ethan had anticipated every possible move. Every attempt at counterattack had been neutralized before it even began. Meanwhile, Ethan observed silently from a distance. He wasn't cruel, he was precise. This was more than revenge. It was a lesson in underestimating the wrong man. That night, standing on the penthouse balcony, Ethan allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. The summer city sparkled below him, serene and unsuspecting. But beneath that beauty, chaos had taken root, and the storm he had summoned was far from over. Ethan whispered to the night sky, a vow of finality in his tone. "You thought you could destroy me. Now you'll watch everything you've built crumble before your eyes." The pressure on Lisa was mounting, and cracks in her composure were now impossible to hide. Ethan decided it was time to push her further, to force the truth out before delivering the final blow. Through subtle manipulations, he arranged a chance meeting at a quiet, summer-lit cafe, one where Lisa believed she could regain control. Ethan arrived last, letting her see him from across the street, unhurried, composed, yet radiating an almost tangible tension. Lisa froze. Her accomplice wasn't there. She tried to maintain her poise, but the facade was crumbling. The city around them continued with its summer bustle, oblivious to the personal storm. "You can't keep running from what you've done," Ethan said calmly, sitting across from her. His voice was soft, almost deceptively gentle, but every word carried the weight of inevitability. Lisa's eyes filled with panic and desperation. "Ethan, I didn't mean for any of this." He held up a hand, cutting her off. "Don't lie. You tried to poison me, humiliated me, and thought you could get away with it. Every secret, every betrayal, I know it all." Tears welled up in her eyes, but Ethan's gaze remained icy. This wasn't about cruelty. It was about making her confront the consequences of her actions. She realized, finally, that the man she had tried to destroy was more powerful than she had ever imagined, and that he had been steps ahead the entire time. The confession was a small victory, a confirmation that Ethan's plan was working. The storm was nearing its apex, and the empire of deceit that Lisa had relied on was crumbling around her. Ethan's plan was reaching its most critical stage. Every move Lisa and her accomplice made had been anticipated, and now he was ready to bring them face to face with the consequences of their betrayal. He orchestrated an exclusive summer gala, one that promised luxury, power, and secrecy. Lisa and her accomplice were invited, believing they could regain influence and manipulate outcomes to their favor. They didn't know that the event had been designed as a trap. As the gala unfolded under the golden summer lights, Ethan's team subtly isolated the duo. Every ally they thought they could trust was subtly redirected or neutralized. Their every word, their every glance was being observed and recorded. Finally, Ethan made his entrance. The room's chatter hushed when he appeared, calm and commanding. Lisa's face went pale, her accomplice frozen in disbelief. For the first time, they realized that Ethan wasn't just a man wronged. He was a force they could not escape. "I hope you enjoyed your summer games," Ethan said, voice clear and controlled, "because the time for hiding is over." A wave of realization hit them. Every humiliation, every financial blow, every whisper of betrayal had been orchestrated by the very man they tried to destroy. And now, Ethan's trap had closed completely. The gala's lights glimmered like summer stars, but the air was thick with tension. Ethan's presence alone cast a shadow over Lisa and her accomplice. The trap he had carefully set was now complete, leaving them exposed and vulnerable. Ethan approached, every step deliberate, his calm demeanor masking the storm within. He didn't need to shout or threaten. The evidence of their deceit was all around them. Screens displayed their hidden financial schemes, recordings of their conspiracies, and subtle social manipulations. Guests murmured in shock as they realized the betrayal that had been orchestrated behind closed doors. Lisa's accomplice tried to speak, to defend themselves, but the words caught in their throat. The network of lies they had built was unraveling, thread by thread, under the scrutiny of Ethan's empire. Ethan stopped before them, voice low and icy. "Do you remember the day you thought you could poison me? That day started a chain of events that ends here, not with anger, not with chaos, but with justice." Tears streaked down Lisa's face as the gravity of their actions hit. The empire they had attempted to manipulate was no longer theirs to control. Ethan's calculated vengeance had stripped away every layer of deceit, leaving them completely exposed. For the first time, Lisa and her accomplice understood the depth of the storm they had unleashed, and the power of the man they had wronged. Ethan didn't strike with violence. His revenge had been far more sophisticated. Lisa and her accomplice were left with two choices: face the consequences of their actions or attempt to rebuild their lives from the ruins they had created. The gala ended, the summer night wrapping the city in a warm glow, but the heat of tension still lingered. Ethan had made his point clear. He was not a man to be underestimated, and betrayal came at a high price. Later, in the quiet of his penthouse, Ethan reflected on everything that had transpired. He hadn't wanted to destroy for pleasure. His actions were measured, precise, and justified. His empire was intact, his reputation stronger than ever, and the lesson had been delivered. Mia approached him, a proud smile on her face. "You've done it. They finally understand." Ethan nodded, eyes scanning the city below, now bathed in golden summer light. "Yes," he replied softly, "and now it's time to focus on what truly matters." His mind shifted from vengeance to something he had almost forgotten amidst the betrayal: love, trust, and the possibility of new beginnings. The storm had passed, leaving behind clarity, strength, and a future that Ethan could now shape on his own terms. The summer sun rose over the city, casting long golden beams through the skyline. Ethan stood on the balcony of his penthouse, the cool breeze ruffling his hair. The empire he had inherited, nurtured, and defended now stood stronger than ever. Lisa and her accomplice had vanished from the corporate world, their secrets exposed and their influence destroyed. Justice had been served, not with blind rage, but with precision and strategy. Every step Ethan had taken had ensured they would never recover from their betrayal. Yet standing there, Ethan realized that the greatest victory wasn't the downfall of his enemies, it was his own growth. He had endured heartbreak, attempted murder and deceit, and emerged stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Mia approached, carrying a folder of new opportunities for expansion. "What's next, Ethan?" she asked. He smiled, a genuine warmth lighting his features for the first time in weeks. Now we build, we grow, we live, not just survive but thrive, and maybe find someone who truly deserves me. As he looked out over the city, the summer heat felt different, warmer, softer, full of possibilities. The storm of betrayal had passed, leaving behind not ruin, but a chance for redemption, love, and a future of his own making. Ethan Carter had been tested, and he had risen from the ashes.